Record?
Yes. So, yeah, I think we should start. Erev Tov likulam, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of the German-Israeli Association, Branch Bonn, and our cooperation partners, the Catholic Educational Center in Bonn and the Support Association of the Memorial Center in Bonn, I welcome you to our online talk with Ayelet Katzir and Dr. Mouli Bentman. They are our special guests tonight, directly connected from Israel via Zoom into our living rooms. Ayelet is a resident from Kibbutz Kfar Aza, one of the kibbutzim, as you know, attacked by Hamas terrorists on October 7th, and Dr. Mouli Bentman lectures at the Sapir Academic College located near Sderot. A bit later this evening, they both will introduce themselves much better than I can do and share their stories with us. My name is Ursula Schmidt, and I'm a board member of the Deutsch-Israelische Gesellschaft, the German-Israeli Association in Bonn, and I feel honored to host this event for you tonight. I have thought long and hard about how to open this evening and what to say, so before I leave the floor to Mouli and Ayelet, let me briefly explain how the idea for this evening emerged. It all began with a visit of my friend Orly Soker in Bonn earlier this year and my uncertain plans to come visit Israel during times of war. Orly, as you could see her already, is also with us tonight. Welcome. And she introduced me to the concept of Masa Ishi, or translated into English, personal journey, which has set itself the goal of sharing the lives of the residents of the Gaza envelope. The organization's projects provide participants with tools for rehabilitation through sharing their personal stories, for instance, in podcasts or in photos, just to give you an overall idea of what it is about. But we're going to hear more about it later this evening. The idea of Masa Ishi, however, coincided with and amplified my wish to learn more about the concept and to meet with the people behind it. Who are they? What's their story? What's their biography? What is their purpose and motivation to set up a program like this to help others help themselves to cope with their experiences, not just the experiences of October 7th, but to share maybe their lives before and after October 7th. I think I read it in one of Elia's posts. Elia is the daughter of Ayelet, where she said, and I try to say it in my own words, in order to understand what the impact of the terror attacks of October 7th to the residents of the Gaza envelope really is, we need to understand what their life was before October 7th and what they were forced to leave behind or what they were forced to give up. Also, I want to mention that the concept of Masa Ishi shines a light and is, in my view, one of the best examples for the Israeli civil society in their build-up resilience. So I was, and I still am, very grateful to meet with Orly and Mouli and Elia in Tel Aviv last April. All of them are members of Masa Ishi. While I was in Tel Aviv, we exchanged ideas and discussed how to promote the concept and the diverse projects of Masa Ishi to the German public. And what came out of this meeting was the idea to show the audience the life of Gaza envelope residents before and after October 7th, and to have actually two of them tell their stories. So once again, a heartfelt welcome to all of you, Ayelet and Elia and Orly and Mouli. I'm really, really happy you made this evening possible and that you share your thoughts and your time with us. To give you a brief overview of what to expect tonight, so first, Mouli will introduce you to a 15-minute video documenting the realities of life in the Gaza envelope before October 7th. And if I remember correctly, this is a video from the Sapir College students made in, I think, in 2019. This will be followed by a conversation between Mouli and Ayelet, who will not only share, as I said, their stories, but also offer their insights about what their life looks like today. And at the end of their conversation, we'll open the Q&A session for you. So you are welcome to ask your questions directly by either raising your hand. You can use the button, the raising hand button, or you can also use the chat function. I have a co-host. This is Frau Elwart. Frau Elwart and I will have a look in technical terms, and we will look after comments or questions in this chat as well. Please keep yourselves muted at all times, unless, of course, you put forward your questions, and then, of course, you have to open your microphone. Last but not least, I would like to lead your attention to a link that I posted in the chat function of Zoom, that leads you to our online evaluation form with which you can leave your feedback and or comments with regard to tonight's online event. And I also added a password. And having said that, I will step back to the sideline, leave Mouli the floor. Please note that this meeting will be recorded and is already on recording. And Mouli, just let me know when to start the video. Thank you.
Thank you, Ursula. Actually, it's really an honor to be here this evening. And I'm really thankful for this opportunity to speak with all of you and tell our personal stories that I think that in many ways are part of the greater story of the region of the Western Negev, which is also sometimes referred to as the Gaza envelope. As Ursula said, we will start the meeting with a short film that was directed by Rachel Albert and Maciej Janowski in 2019. It was done as part of the studies at the School of Audio and Visual Art at Sapir College. And I think that we chose this film because I think it captures something unique and today also terrifying about what it was, or how was it to live in this region prior to October the 7th. And I think we'll let the film speak for itself, then we'll have our conversation, and we'll also maybe talk a bit about it as part of our talk. Just to mention one thing before we start the movie, one of the main characters, one of the heroes of the film, is a man called Haim Perry, who lived near Oz, near the Gaza border, and was one of the people who was kidnapped from his house, from his home, during the 7th of October events. So I think we will go directly to the movie, Ursula, and then we will talk. Thank you.
טוב, כמו שאתם רואים פה זה החניון, שהחלק הזה, קומה שנייה, שלישית ורביעית, הם מקלט כעיקרון. מקבלים התראה, מפנים את הרכבים, וזהו, זה המקלט שלנו.
tell you about this monster. This is a movable shelter. You can see behind, it's possible to connect it to a tractor and bring into the field, so people who are working can hide very quickly during an emergency. From the beginning, all our field touch the fence. Touch the fence. We are working till the last meter. We have a very good connection with these people before. And now, no, nothing. We can't control these things. Not in our hands.
פה זה כפר כאילו של סטודנטים, יש פה 72 סטודנטים, שזה כפר יחסית גדול. אז הוא כזה מין מקום כזה קהילתי, קטן, חמוד, כולם מכירים את כולם. ובאחד הפעמים באיזה יום שבת פשוט היה איזה מלא נפילות של קסאמים שבאו מעזה. בערך כל איזה חצי שעה היה בערך צבע אדום. באחד הפעמים כאילו שהחלטתי לרוץ בצבע אדום למקלט, יחד עם הפלאפון לעשות וידאו לסטורי באינסטגרם. וכשאני עשיתי סטורי והפעלתי את הוידאו, אז כשאני רץ למקלט, אני קולט את אחד האנשים שלא גרים בדירה הזאת, רץ עם תחתונים שיש לו פשוט זקפה. ולא כל כך הבנתי את הסיטואציה, כי לא חיברתי את זה שהוא לא גר שם, וכאילו מה הולך שם בדיוק. ואחרי זה כמה שניות נכנסת השותפה שגרה שם בדירה הזאת, אחת הבחורות, ומתחננת שאני אמחק את הוידאו הזה, שכבר העליתי אותו לאינסטגרם, ולא כל כך עשיתי אחד ועוד אחד של מה קרה ביניהם. ובעיקרון תפסתי אותם על זה בחם בלי שאני שמתי לב לזה, והם התחננו שאני לא אספר את זה לאף אחד. עכשיו זה הפעם הראשונה שאני מספר את זה בכלל למישהו.
כן המפקד, אני ולירן פה נמצאים ליד הפסל של המיגוניות. כן המפקד. כן, עבודה.
Okay, this is one of the first or second shelter that built in Europe in the early 60s, purpose for children house, for children garden. And now we don't use it, and we build a winery inside, the best place for winery. Underground, very good temperature, and very good wine we have. We also make a brandy. You want to taste brandy? Very good. Dobrze, dobrze.
It happened to us a few times that we were hanging out in this bar and then you hear the alarm. Everybody is like stressed and shocked, so you can't really party and hang out when it happened. This is the shelter that we should go. It's quite far from the bar. And to do all this way to the shelter and bring all the clients with you, it takes too long. You can see now all the clients and you can imagine what's gonna happen if there is an alarm now. And also, it takes few seconds to hear the alarm because of the loud music. Now, all this area is the shelter, but I tell to the client to stick to this wall. Why? Because here, as you can see, there are lots of glasses. We are afraid at this moment because you can never know when the bomb will be. And I know that me and my girlfriend used to hug each other and like just wait to listen the bombs like blow up, and we're like,
Are you afraid that something might happen to your girlfriend?
no, honestly no. Like, I know that there are shelters here, so not at all, not at all. We're still partying here, we're going out, and the life here is good. Life here is not bad at all. Life here is good, even in Sderot, the most dangerous place in Israel. It's good.
פתאום היה צעקות של הבת שלי שהיא רואה משהו אש מולה, ופתאום פיצוץ, לא היה צבע אדום. ואותי העיף לקיר, איבדתי את ההכרה, ועד שהגיע האמבולנס בדרך טיפלו בי, והבת שלי הייתה איתי, הייתה צועקת, אני בולעת דם מההדף שחטפה. גם הייתה בוכה וצועקת, חוץ מלדחוף לי כדורים ועוד כדורים ועוד כדורים, וזה לא עובד על הגוף שלי. הגוף שלי בתוך הדם שלי כבר, והפחד והטראומות, זה לא מוציא אותי מזה. פשוט אני הולכת וקורסת, הולכת ומתמוטטת. לא טוב לי. יש לי ילדים, יש לי נכדים, יש לי יתומים, 3 יתומים של הבן שלי, ואני בשבילהם אני מנסה לשרוד, מנסה להחזיק את עצמי, שהוא לא מעוניין, הילד בן 8.5 שאני מתמוטטת, הוא מסתגר וצורח ובוכה, רוצה אותי. הוא גדל בלי אמא, הוא היה תינוק, אמא שלו לא ראתה אותו, לא חיבקה אותו. אני בשבילו אמא וגם סבתא, אבל סבתא הזאת מתה, אין לה כוחות. אני לא יכולה יותר. אני רוצה שהוא יצילו אותי מכל הבלגן, או שיתנו לי איזה זריקה למוות, למות, פעם אחת, אין לי כוח. אתם באתם והיקשתם ואני הייתי בדיוק בתוך התקף, ולא יכלתי לעמוד, זועקת אמא, איפה אמא שלי בקבר, מי יכול לעזור לי?
I fear for nothing. Really, I'm not a man that fears. Fear is not in my skull.
How do you act when you hear that alarm starts on?
I try to continue sleeping, but my wife take my come to the shelter immediately. Come to the shelter. נר לי דפק בחנוכה, בחנוכה. היום זה נר ראשון. בראבו. I feel sorry about all the result of this attack. All these children that will not sleep anymore. Every time you close hardly the door, they jump, they start crying at night. Many children in Israel, I'm sure in Gaza the same. every move, unexpected noise makes them traumatic, completely traumatic. And we build a generation with huge trauma, both sides of the border. That makes me feel very bad about this.
Do you sleep well?
Yeah. That's my good character and my good experience in all the war teach me to sleep in any condition. I was in 67 war, 73 war, Lebanon war, and all the between. It was many times. Many times they tried to kill me, but I'm still alive.
Have you ever had to hurt somebody?
No answer. No comment. I am not proud of all of what I did in the war. It's not my glorification time. It was necessary. I took part, but I'm not going with a flag and say, oh, no. It was. Yeah.
זה הבית שלי, זה המעמד שלי שאני מתבוננת בזמן של מטחים של קסאמים. אני פה נמצאת. זה הבית שלי, זה המעמד שלי, זה החיים שלי, זהו.
So we're back, Mouli.
Yeah. Thank you. This is the fifth time that I saw this film, and it takes a minute to gain your breath again. So let's continue. So I think that we chose to start with this film, as I told, because it captures something about what was life before October the 7th. But secondly, we decided to start also with this film because it's related to this association that Ursula mentioned that we created after October, the Masaishi, the personal journey, because it's also related to Sapir College. All the people that are involved in this project and in this association are somehow related to the Sapir College. Either they are students, graduate, past and present academic staff in Sapir. And also, I think that before our talk with Ayelet, this film also is a bit similar to the experience that she herself had as someone who been living for years in this region. And I think that similar to this guy, Haim Perry, the very impressive old man, charismatic person that we saw in the film, that was kidnapped from his home at Nir Oz. And unfortunately, we learned 2 weeks ago that he didn't survive. Similar to him, Ayelet was also there during the October 7 attack, and she lost her husband during this brutal attack on Kfar Aza, where she lived most of her life and raised her family. And so because of those three related things, we thought that before we would start our talk, it would be good to see the film, and we might say something about it later on. I would very much would like to call Ayelet to this talk and to ask her about her experience living in this region, living in Kfar Aza for so many years. What can you tell us about your life and your experience previous to October the 7th, Ayelet?
Okay, good evening. I can say that we had normal, good life. I mean me and my family, and since we live in the kibbutz, or used to live in the kibbutz, it's a kind of community, like a family. Everybody knows everybody, and it's a very warm community. Now, all holidays we do together, Shabbats, celebrations. Well, I can say that most enjoyable things we used to do together. I had my husband, who, I'm sorry if I'm going to cry. I'll try not to. I had my husband. I think we're a good couple. We raised wonderful kids. He was a man of earth. It's very typical for people who live in the kibbutz, to be connected to the earth, to the soil, to the products. I can talk about him hours, but the thing is that he was my best friend. We had good partnership. We were very optimistic about living in this region because we always say, well, probably not all Palestinians are Hamas. Probably Hamas it's a very small organization. Most people want peace. And this is how we lived, with this belief. We all thought that it will be one day that we can live together, talk to each other. Well, we were optimistic, very, very optimistic. Now, living there, it meant to be all the time under attacks, missiles attacks. And my daughter, Elia, she's here now, always asked me, why do you live there? It's dangerous. Why do you live there? And I used to tell her, first of all, this is a
legitimate?
חוקים, שכחתי איך אומרים.
Laws? I don't know.
Yeah, borders. I mean, the border was set. Our border with Gaza was set in 1948, which means it's legitimate. I used to tell her that, and if we won't live here, we will live here. It was like a mission. I was born in a kibbutz under the Golan Heights before the 1967 war, and I got it in my blood. It's a mission to live in the legitimate borders and to guard the borders. So this is what I did when I was a kid, and afterwards when I got married. you want me to say something more about living there, which was, I can talk about it, I told you, for hours.
When did you arrive to this?
Sorry?
When did you arrive to this region? When did you arrive to Kfar Aza?
When? In 84. I was with my husband since 82, and at 84, I came to the kibbutz from a much nicer kibbutz on the Sea of Galilee. But I went after my husband, as it's written in the Bible.
Was the threat was already present during the 80s?
No. We used to buy things in Gaza. Workers from Gaza used to work with us. There is a very important story I want to tell you about this, that they used to work in the fields and even in the kibbutz. And there was one special, he was a friend of many of us. And after the 2000 Intifada, the big war in 2000, when no workers could come back to Kfar Aza, me and my husband and two more people, we used to collect money, like salary, for those people who used to work in Kfar Aza from our account. We donated from our account. And some of us always, once a week, used to go to the, how to call it, like the gate of the border. And his name was Anwar. He was waiting there and took our money. We used to talk a little bit. And then he went back. And we went back to the kibbutz. But after a few months, it couldn't happen because the attacks were very often, so we couldn't go to that border gate.
What did you do during those years? What did your occupation there?
Well, my occupation, first I was a teacher, history teacher, and then I became, in the last 22 years, I'm a psychotherapist. And I mostly deal with severe disorders and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which we have a lot of it in our region.
Was it already there were tensions and people with problem previous to October?
Of course, since the evacuation of Gush Katif, which was in Gaza, I think it was in since there were attacks all the time. We never knew when it will happen. The initiative always was from the Palestinian side. It could happen at night, it could happen at morning. It was, spontaneous.
And also casualties, people who got hurt in the kibbutz or in nearby?
My neighbor, he lived behind my house. He was killed at 2009 because, not because, we all heard different sound of the missile, and he was very curious. So we went outside from his home to see what it is. And it was a new kind of missile, and it was, he got hurt. My daughter, Elia, heard it too, and went outside the house and saw him spread all over the grass. And she was 14, and she has PTSD.
Did you ever had any doubts about why we are staying there? Is it good for our kids? He never hesitated.
Yeah.
It's a national mission or something like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a secret. It's really a secret because maybe Elia knows it, but most of the people don't know it, but I don't care to say it now. Every night when we went to bed, I used to lock the doors. Every night, I swear. A thought came into my mind. When terrorists come, where will they go first? Will they kill me? Will they kill my husband? Maybe it's good. It was seconds, but every night. Maybe we should sleep here. Maybe we should sleep there. For, I don't know, maybe 20 years, this thought came into my mind when the kids were at home, when the kids weren't at home already. And yes, they used to ask me, I told you, why do we stay? And well, this is our education. We don't educate our kids like we were educated. The education I was received was first of all Israel, first of all the state, and really I can tell you it's very naive saying it today, but I really felt connected to my country. I never thought I'm going to leave, even though I have a German passport, by the way. But I never thought I'm going to leave Israel. It's never came into my mind, nor today, I must say. But I felt like it's not an obligation. It's like a bonding. Really, I talk now, and it sounds so naive. I really a little bit ashamed to say.
When you said that you had this kind of, not nightmares, but thinking about the possibility of some terrorist action, people coming, was it ever like real, or it was always just some kind of a warning that you put off?
I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know. It's like, well, I don't know if you know what it is, but it's like OCD. It comes and you do something, and then it gets done. So maybe it was a kind of OCD, mental OCD, that every time I closed the door, this thought came, and I just didn't think about it anymore.
And when it actually happened on October the 7th, what happened? Where were you?
Okay, now we're talking about the 7th of October, right?
Yes.
Well, I was at home with my husband. Well, no, not exactly. He liked ride jeeps. He had a jeep. He liked a lot of things, by the way, but that day, it was Saturday, he sat with friends to go for a ride on a road on the border with Egypt that was opened only because of the holiday. So it was, I think, 6:25 in the morning when he went up. I didn't hear, I didn't see him. Of course, I didn't say goodbye. And then at 6:30, something like that, he called me and he said, and once he called me, in the same minute, I realized that there is a missile attack, which is not normal. It's something huge that we've never experienced. And he told me to go to the shelter, and I asked him, where are you? He said, well, I just got out of the kibbutz. And I told him, stay there. Don't come inside because it's such a severe, massive attack. You can't come home. And he said, the last words I had from my husband was, well, something like that, And then I waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The attack was all the time. And then I started to hear shotguns. And 5-10 minutes he didn't arrive. So I immediately understood that he was dead. Because I know him, I knew him. He was such a person with a solution for everything. I really think, even today, that if he would have stayed alive, even kidnapped, he would have found a way to let me know. I'm sure about it, and I knew it then. So I knew he was dead. Now, being as psychotherapist, and one of my expertise is PTSD, I knew that I was very vulnerable to get this thing. So I didn't have a lot of time to think, because after maybe an hour, terrorists came into my house. They didn't find the shelter because it was somehow hidden, and but they ruined my house. They ruined my house. They shoot it everywhere. They took all the clothes.
So you were alone in your house?
Yeah, sure. I was alone.
A shelter, and then you had people getting inside, but they didn't realize that you were there.
Yeah, and all the time shouting in Arabic and screaming. They were on something, I don't know, and shootings and swearings and voices of ruins, and it was terrible. I went inside the closet that was in the shelter, waited there, texted to my son, to my brother. I was still a little bit disconnected, I think. And then they went out. They were in my house 3 times. So 3 times I went to the cupboard. But since then...
Which time you went inside the closets? Yes.
Yeah, I went inside the closet, which was inside the shelter.
Inside the shelter.
And it was very hot because all the winter clothes were there, wool stuff and things like that. It was very, very hot. Okay. So what I did, I decided to be active, because when you're active, less chance or less possibility to get PTSD. But how can you be active in a shelter, 3 meters on 3 meters? First of all, when I must say that I'm a second generation of the Holocaust, which helped me very much, because when they went out of my house, I realized that I have to do something. I don't know how long it's going to be. I understood that it's something very, very not typical. I thought about being conquered by them. Really, I remember after 2 hours, I went out. I took some water, a pot for for when you need to do things, a flashlight and a book. I found 2 flashlights, so I took them and a book. Why? Because my plan was to read the book, and then reading, it's to do something. It's to be occupied all the time. So I brought all this inside, shut down the door again, and began to read. I remember on page 162, still I saw that page, the number of the page. Afterwards, maybe 2 pages afterwards, the flashlight went off. And I forgot to mention that the battery in my phone was very, very, yeah. So I just text to my son. They came back. The terrorists came back again after a few hours. I went to the cupboard, text to my son that if I'm going to die, he should know that I love them very much, and please don't tell Elia and my second daughter anything after everything is done. I don't know what is done. I told him that I know we are conquered. Probably they will find me, and don't forget that I had a very good life. That's what I wrote to him, and then battery went off after that. So what can I do now? No, the other flashlight, I thought, well, I'm going to leave it because God knows what is going to happen. So I went to my bed
When you lost the connection, the phone connection, how much time have you already spent in the room, in the shelter? You remember?
Yeah, I think the connection went off around 4. My brother is in this conversation as well. He probably knows. I think about 4 or 5 afternoon at Saturday.
Already 10 hours in the shelter.
Pardon?
Already 10 hours. You spent already 10 hours in the shelter when you lost connection.
Yeah, sure.
Inside
Yeah,
the-
and I forgot to say no electricity, no water, everything went down, and the window of the shelter is very thick. It's made of iron, and you have to close it, so it's absolutely darkness. You don't know whether it's morning or night. And I have a very small watch. Maybe you can see, I can't see anything with light in this watch, so probably in the darkness I couldn't know what time is it. So I went to my bed, and I remember being in Berlin. What I loved in Berlin very, very much, it was the museums. I love museums very much, and art. So I began to travel in the museums that I used to be in France, in Berlin, in London, in Israel. We have really good museums. And well, it took me almost, well, I was in the shelter for 30 hours. Most of it, I was in the museums. And every time my husband came into my mind, I went to another country, just not to think about it, because I knew I will have enough time to think about it. Now I have to be well. I have to take care of myself, not to be in a trauma, which I think I succeeded.
What happened after 30 hours? How were you rescued?
Yeah. You must understand that I was in bed. So all I had is some kind of an old dress. When I went out from the shelter after the first time a terrorist came to my house, I went to first of all, I video everything, because I said, well, you can't trust the state that they will give me back everything they ruined. So first of all, I video it. And then I went to the bedroom, which was absolutely ruined, but I found a bra and one pair of underwear, sorry, and I put it on, and because I thought, well, if they're going to kill me, at least I'll be decent. And well, after these 30 hours, I heard some kind of, I opened a little bit this thick window, a few times of the day, maybe 3 times, because I had to breathe. So one time when I opened, it was light, and I heard some kind of noises of like armies, how do you say it, okie-dokie? And I opened the window. It took me 15 minutes to open 30 centimeters, just to see what it's going on. There is a shelter, shed, you say, shed, like a curtain, but a stiff one. And I couldn't open it because of this window. So I made a periscope. I had a piece of paper. I made a periscope, and I saw soldiers. But those soldiers, everybody told us in the first hours that the terrorists, they look like the IDF army. So I didn't know what to do.
Soldiers.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 soldiers behind my window. I didn't do anything. And then they started to shout. I will never, never forget it in my life. Is there anybody alive here? Not in my house. They just stood on the lawn and they shouted everywhere. And I heard also that the terrorists, they speak Hebrew. This is what was written. So I didn't know what to do. And then I saw them getting further from my window. So I opened everything, the window, the shed, everything, took my arm outside and I said, well, I'm here. They said, don't move, your house is wired. So they came. They were three very young guys, sweet people, really. They were so empathetic and so, they were like, well, my rescuers. And they came and they just stood around me, four of them. They took me by their bodies. I can't explain it better because of my house being wired, they knew probably how to move. So they took me, like this with their guns in front of them. So I remember saying, well, if it wasn't this situation, I could think it's sexual harassment. And we were all laughing, but immediately they took me to a kind of armor car, and they took me out. Now, out, it means in the gas station outside the kibbutz. And some people of the kibbutz were there. It was around 1 o'clock afternoon at Sunday. Yeah. So people ask me, where is Kachko? Kachko is the nickname of my husband. And I said, he's dead. And they said, how do you know? I said, I know. Now, it appeared that many people knew that he was dead because on Saturday, the people who rescued on Saturday, they had to go to the gas station by foot. And my husband's car was just in the middle of the way. So most of the people saw him there, but nobody told me. Yeah, well, I got to the gas station and people were there like zombies, the eyes were hollow. Probably I looked the same. The first thing I did, it was to brush my teeth. There is a shop in the gas station. So I brushed my teeth and my son called to somebody there because my phone was dead. And he was crying and said that he was coming to take me, which he did. Afterwards, we went to another kibbutz. Doesn't matter. It took me from there. I must mention that I was active all the time. In the gas station, I was walking and I didn't speak to anyone because I knew people are shocked and probably I was shocked as well. And then when they took us by bus to another kibbutz, a little bit 1,000, to the dining room, I all the time walked in the dining room, just walking in the dining room, outside the dining room, until my son came. And I must say that I have a very special relationship with my brother, and he came also, and my son just met him on the way. I went to my brother for, I call it like hospitalize. My daughters came with me and we were there for a week. It took me, I think, this week to start breathing again. I don't remember anything from that week except my brother, his wife, who were very, very good to me, and like always. I must say that I went out from my house without anything, only slippers and, you know, my dress and what underwears, and that's it. And after being a week with my brother, we didn't get yet the announcement that my husband, the official announcement that my husband is dead. So I wanted all the family to be together. We are 5 kids. Two of the kids, well, not kids, but they are my husband's children from the first marriage, which we are very close, all of us, and we have a lot of about, now it's about almost 10 grandchildren. And it was very important to me that everybody will be together, because they used to come every day to my brother's house, which is in the north. It's far away. So we got a villa, a very big villa in Herzliya, which was donated to us by somebody I don't know.
I know.
Immediately.
Ayelet, I know that most of the people from the kibbutz chose to go to together to another kibbutz where most of them lived till
Yeah.
today. Why did you choose to leave the community?
Well, because I know myself, and I thought I knew, which I was right, what is going to be there. 65 of our members were killed. About 22, I think, were kidnapped. And as I said before, we used to be a very close community. So people were in shock and in a great grief. Me also. And I understood that it was, I thought that it wasn't possible for me to be with my big family, this big family, and to, you know, to get union and to get to take care of each other and to be with the kibbutz and all this grief. This is first reason why. And another reason is because I know myself. I need time for everything. I need time to digest the event. The event was so crazy, so how to say, so uncommon that I understood that I need to digest it, and it takes time, and I need to take care of my family, and I need to grieve of my husband. And well, it was such a chaotic period. I found myself thinking all the time about what do I have to do? Where am I going to bury him once they will officially tell me that he's dead? Where am I going to bury him? Because my kibbutz was ruined, was burned. And it was forbidden for us to go back. So I decided to bury him in my former kibbutz in Negev, which is a very beautiful kibbutz, very beautiful graveyard, and beautiful people. They accepted it, and so after getting the announcement, 2 days after, we buried him. And there is another thing I want to tell you about my naiveness, you said, about being naive, is that when the ambulance brought the body, I said, I want to see him. It was 2 weeks after his death. I knew it was probably rotten, but I just asked the driver of the ambulance, whether I can see his hand or something. He opened the
coffin.
Yeah, he opened the coffin, and he said, he just looked at me. I was with my brother and my husband's son, elder son, and he just noted like this, and then I gave him a box, and I asked him to put some hair of my husband in the box. Sorry, I can't breathe. Just a minute.
Take your time.
And he noted again. So I understood that he was shot in his head and there was nothing left. Okay, so we buried him. Before that, Negev was a kind of escape for me. I really loved that kibbutz and people, and now my mother is alive and she's there. It's very difficult for me to go there. It's like the air is not clear as it used to be. Like all the grief, all the sadness of the world is there. But I have to see my mother, right? So I try to go when I can. I have a sweet brother who is there most of the time.
I know that although you chose not to live with the community, you are still very engaged in helping the community to rebuild itself.
Yeah. I'm involved in the life of my community, still my community. I live not far away, about I think 10 minutes, 15 minutes from them. I am a member of the, I don't know how to say it, community. It's not community, it's, איך אומרים ועדה? Committee, right. Of special problems, like when people, I don't know, have special problems that nobody should know what it is, like need a little money or a loan or a house or a room because of they want to divorce, things like that. And another committee of education. Now you have to understand that life is not just changed for us. We don't live in our houses. Kids don't go to their schools. Youth movements, all the normal things that we used to do, they're not anymore. We live now in another kibbutz, which are very nice. They have a hotel, big hotel. I don't know most, but more than half of people in the kibbutz live there in rooms of hotel, families live in hotel rooms, 20 square meters, I don't know. Kids have to sleep with their parents for 8 months now. And very, very dramatic decisions we need to take, like most of the kids are traumatized, and government now built for us like a neighborhood in a kibbutz not far away from Gaza, but not near the border. Now, children need to go to school, but they need a lot of support and a lot of treatment. They can't go to regular classes. They can't meet in the classes regular people who didn't, Kfar Aza was the only, Kfar Aza and a little bit of another kibbutz was the only kibbutz that got so hurt in our council. So it's very difficult now to decide how we are going to educate our children, our babies, I mean, small kids, big kids, you know. There is mature, they have test of mature, they have to pass. Who is going to teach them? It's very, very difficult because we have to invite everything from the beginning. Also me, I have to invite my my life from the beginning. Yeah.
Do you imagine yourself going back to Gaza?
It's a $1 million questions. I can't answer that, not because I don't want to answer it. I guess I won't go back. I don't go back to that neighborhood of the kibbutz that are being built now because I'm having changing as well. I remember getting out of the shelter in the 8th of October. I said to my kids, I said, well, if this had to happen, I'm going to change my life. I'm not going to live the same life as I used to. This is one of the reasons I didn't go with my kibbutz, my community. And this is why I now find myself sometimes saying, now me, now it's about me. It's a language I didn't know, but now I started to learn it, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult because I have to take care of banks, bureaucracy, where to live, which my husband used to deal with all that.
Yes, I see that our time is running out. I suggest we will open the floor for questions, if there are any. If you don't mind, you're good with.
I just want to add a little thing that I realized that my life now is some kind of life of a refugee, and I need to connect my my rational thinking rather than to feel so much.
Thank you, Ayelet.
Yeah.
For sharing. I know it was not easy.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ayelet, and also Mouli. You're amazing people, and I guess it takes, I think it takes a lot of courage to, you know, to talk about what you have endured. So yeah, once again to our community, if you have any questions, direct questions to Ayelet or maybe Mouli, just, you can either use the chat or you can raise your hand. You have to let it sink first, I guess. Mouli, you wanted to say something?
I think there's someone who's trying to ask a question.
Let me see.
Miss Henriksen?
It's Cornelia Henriksen.
Yeah, should I get in? Okay.
Of course, yeah, please.
Thank you. Well, Mouli, thank you, but thank you so much, Ayelet. It is difficult to take the floor after such a personal testimony. You know that we have seen many things on TV, we know a lot of things, but hearing your most personal, emotional, intimate thoughts in my own living room is something very different. So I'm really taken. I know that, or I remember that somebody from the Gaza kibbutzim said it was about 90% paradise and, or 95 and 5% hell.
Yeah.
Now, since we cannot share any of the experiences that you had, how does one get back to a feeling of having faith in life again, having faith in your own government, having faith in your own country. I mean, we leave alone all those political issues, but just as a human being, to come back to a road where you say it's all worthwhile, let's start all over again. I somehow admire you really after such a shock. Thank you for your answer, Ayelet.
And thank you for the question, because it's a really good question, I think. Because, you know, when our beloved ones die, we stay alive. And I realized that almost from the beginning that I'm going to leave. I have kids, which I love, grandchildren, which I love, and obligations, and I love life. And to combine the happiness of being alive and the grief of my husband, which is still going on, this is what I'm trying to do. And I think I'm doing it because I'm alive. I'm not going to kill myself. I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to learn how to live with this pain. This pain is very, very, it's great now, but I know that it will get its place in my heart. And now I'm suffering, and this is a phase of being suffering. I just let it be. This is my answer.
Any other questions? So thank you, Ayelet, and thank you, Cornelia. Yes, so well, time has come close, I think, to more than an hour, and it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to, you know, to talk about all these things. You're amazing, and you're very strong, Ayelet. Really, I felt right from the beginning that this event tonight will be so much different from all the events that I hosted. So thank you, all of you. And I would say before we let you go, we let you rest. Maybe a few words about Masa Ishi for donations. Who wants to talk? Maybe Mouli, a little bit about the projects or your further plans. Just a few words, because I know you're looking for donations, right?
Yes, we are also looking for some funds. So I will be very, very brief. As I said at the beginning, when we said that everybody was talking about October the 7th and about what happened and about the war in Gaza, and we talked with people because I teach there, and Ayelet and her daughter are from this region, or her daughter grew up there, realized that there's not enough place for the actual people who live there to tell their own story, and not enough space to talk about it. That not something that started October the 7th, but goes way, way back, 20, 25 years earlier, at least, if not even more than that. And that it's important to do something, to not just talk about the terrible events of October the 7th, but to talk about this region, to talk about that people, to talk about the relations between the different communities who used to live there, and some of them are still out, refugee in their own country. So part of the idea is to create a website and podcast and many different kinds of tools to give people to tell their story, to use it also to bring it to the outworld, but also as some kind of a self-reflection, as process, an individual process that they will go through by reclaiming their story, by telling it in their own voices. So pretty soon we will have this site on, and we will be able to share the links with you. We'll have also some translation, I hope, for English, in English for sure, maybe also in German, I hope. And we'll be also very happy if we will be able to get some funds for this project. So you have the details in the chat right now.
Exactly. Just if you want to have a brief look in the Zoom chat, Ollie has written something, but maybe let me just say it in German to the German audience. Ich habe mittlerweile alles vorbereitet. Wir werden die Website von Masaishi und die Möglichkeit zu spenden auch auf der Website von der deutsch-israelischen Gesellschaft einschreiben. Das ist alles in der Mache noch, aber es wird kommen. Wenn, dann kann ich Ihnen gerade hier mal den Link, wer möchte sich das aufschreiben, kann das gerne tun. Ich werde es gerade hier mal rauskopieren. Ich fände es sehr schön, wenn wir vielleicht auch in der Zukunft gemeinsame Projekte mit Masaishi hier in Deutschland, vielleicht auch online, aber vielleicht auch in der Präsenzform durchführen könnten. Ich schicke gerade mal den Teilnehmer im Warteraum, nein, Meeting, so jetzt. So, Sie sehen, ich habe hier jetzt mal einen Link eingeblendet. Da finden Sie natürlich auch andere Spendenmöglichkeiten, aber auf diesem Link werden Sie dann in ein paar Tagen, vielleicht in einer Woche, auch die Verlinkung von Masaishi finden. Okay, so I'll switch back to English. I think if nobody wants to add something, maybe Ollie or somebody else, I would call it a day. I thank you so much, Ayelet, Mouli, Elia, for preparing the whole setup. And I can just imagine that after we have finished the talk, that many of you will have more questions. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And we will also help you to get in touch with Masaishi if you want to. Okay, and maybe with Ayelet and Mouli if there is a need for more questions or whatever. Okay, thank you so much. And I would like to release you to your families and to having a good evening. And I would just close the session now.
Thank you very much, Ursula.
Ayelet and Mouli and Ollie and Elia, could you wait? I stopped the screening. I'll stop it right now.